Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. It's crazy. You could save me from my isolation. My eyes too complicated. I stop this conversation. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. No relation. We got no relation. No relation. It's crazy. And it goes like this. You could save me. So
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Luxe Series. My name is Nerds. I'm here with Ancient Angel, and we are the hosts and casters for the first day of group stages, the first stream. I'm excited, personally. It's going to be a very fun time here.
Absolutely, right? It's the first day of the group stage. We got our first match coming hot off the presses. Nice little Monday night or Monday afternoon, depending on where you are in North America. If you're overseas, thanks for joining us as we kind of get to go explore some of the more underdog type of teams here in the scene. And we've got two powerhouses going up against each other today. We've got Harmony and we've got Vibin out.
I'm vibing out right now. I'm excited to talk about these teams. So both these teams, we got a little bit of a scoop on them. They have had some roster shifts, and going into this, I think this is like the second or third time some of these teams have played together. So which team is going to iron out all of the little bends and folds within their sheets, and which ones are going to have a little bit of a harder time? That's the big question on my mind here, Ancient. Ooh, Angel, whoa, words.
It's both, right? Ancient and Angel.
Ancient and
in the
Angel.
same way that neither of these teams are ancient, nor are they angelic. As both of them, they're kind of newer rosters, so to speak, right? There's obviously like a core on Harmony that's been together for a little bit. They've had a little bit of time to practice together, but in terms of 5-player rosters, neither of these teams have been together for any longer than, say, about a month or two. So we should still be expecting some growing pains. And I think that this battle, much into a similar case of a lot of teams in the Luxe series and kind of the volatility of this space, it's going to be about who can find their gel faster. And especially when you look at the maps that we're going to be playing on today, a lot of it comes down to just straight up coordination. Because you can see here, the first two maps of the Luxe series are Haven and Lotus, which is a bunch of coordination.
I mean, it's a 3-site map. You have to know how to play either retakes or a strong defense. If you guys are going to stack a site, you have to make sure that you're holding it. If you're going to push out of a site, you have to make sure that you know what you're playing off against each other. And genuinely, right, I mean, obviously Haven and Lotus entirely different, but the main core for most of these teams and most of these players, like you just hit on like the nail straight on the head, is the coordination. And looking at Harmony's roster, I'm going to kind of, I see them a little bit. They have a little bit of a setup. And for Vibin out, I looked, a little snoop on social media, looking at some of the streams. Their comms were a little bit rough, especially looking at Nico's stream, if they're watching this back, or if anyone in the chat knows, was watching some of their streams, fans out here. They seem to have a little bit of, uplifting spirits, right, when they were down. But even then, even though they have their spirits lifted, they still don't have their comms fully ironed out. And that's kind of the big thing. And that's why we kind of brought that up in the past. But I digress. Let's see how these guys can digest the map picks and hopefully come out as victors.
Well, speaking of digesting, it all starts with that first map, and that first map is Haven. And when we talk about Haven, I think a lot of it, it's kind of like bread and butter Valorant, but with a bit more self-expression. It's kind of like a sense, more popular alternative, because you don't just see the same 5 agents every single time. There's a bit more room for self-expression. You see different teams, even with the same comps, opt to play this map in vastly different ways because it's dependent on how coordinated you are, right? We talked about growing pains and teams finding their gels. This is, in my opinion, the quintessential map in the pool right now to get down. You think about the defense, it's all about calming your gaps and making sure that you're not leaving an avenue for the attackers to get into for absolutely free. It's about being able to bring your team in a mid-round situation to rotate to the correct site to either take it or defend it properly, or just calming to set up for a retake entirely on the defensive side. So when we look at these compositions that are now coming out, look at Vibin out, we see Nico actually opting for that Neon, which we know tends to be a bit more of an explosive style of composition, and it's actually both teams running the Neon. We're going to see a mirror matchup here on Haven.
I'm very happy about that just because I like Neon personally as a kind of change of pace. You mentioned the explosive nature. You got to talk about Breach. Vibin out, just to clarify, did pick this map. So them immediately locking in shows hopefully a bit more confidence in their play style. Omen, Cypher, very common, very understandable for, why we play them here. But, hopefully I really wanted to see some diversity in the initiators. Specifically, some teams have been cooking with Gecko, hasn't really been working. Sova, still a staple from Ascent, from Haven, from all the maps. So you got to give credit where credit is due to this comp. And I think with Luminescent locking in the breach, most likely we're going to be seeing that mirror. And honestly, this doesn't feel as like bad, maybe because it's like still very new that Haven's back in the pool as the Ascent meta comp. So I'm curious if this will become the meta comp, considering at VCT we've seen a lot of Neon being played. So carrying that over into this, hopefully Neon will become a staple on not only Haven but also on some other maps, because I'm personally just a fan of Neon.
I think that Neon is really, really interesting, especially when you look at like that rework that's now really brought her into the kind of the forefront of the meta, at least on certain maps. And the big trade-off that you get with running the Neon as opposed to the Jet is you do get a fair bit more execute power, right? You can go onto a site significantly easier, but on the defense, it's where it's really difficult to find your groove, right? You have to try and play aggressive for extremities to really make sure that your team has control and can properly get a well-informed stack. So you're going to see that especially over towards this A site. It's the side that everyone loves to try and push, try and get that lobby control. And you can see Harmony, they're looking to do that with both Initiators and Neon over towards a lobby. But for Vibin out, it's all about this C side of the map. They're going to try and push in to this Controller Sentinel combo on that third letter.
That's going to be rough for them. All things considered, if Nico can't get that trip broken through with a potential shock dart, it's not going to matter. There we go. It gets broken and stunned, and the site's going to be taken rather quickly as Nico pushes in. Great setup by the Cypher to deny Nico even more space. Going to fall back instead and get the plant down.
And Sour sticks that spike. It immediately causes Harmony to try and retake over through Garage, and Clutch actually able to find one, but Self is there immediately for the trade to make things back into that 4v3. Vibing out with heavy players towards Garage. Only one player tucked in towards Cubby as Luminescent, now finding out where that stack is going to just try and buy time and is actually going to do a lot of damage, but it's now all up to Firewolf in a 1v2. Out of nowhere.
They're going to hunt him down. And I could see kind of the play that Harmony's trying to make going all together, but the funnel was just a little bit rough. Thankfully, it was pinstripes and it wasn't a complete wash in one direction, but the retake for Harmony just was not as strong. And you see all of the players funneled. Thankfully, though, not lining up. That's probably the most critical aspect of this push here. Even though we do see Firewolf getting the trades, at the end of the day, because they had the timing and the players, it just worked out for Vibin out.
Yeah, Vibin out. Excellent job on the pistol, right? They just said, you know what? We don't want to go into that Neon. We're just going to go. We're going to go over towards that C site. We're going to get that Garage control later. And it works out really well for them. And you kind of see the success of that kind of explosiveness that the Neon can provide, right? You throw that stun, you throw the fast lane, and you just run it into the site so quickly.
Zoom.
And that's the other thing as well for Vibin out. I think they've done a really good job at clearing out a lot of the Cypher utility in that pistol, because, you know, that's the thing that kind of counters the Neon is what's the point of dashing if you're just going to get caught by a tripwire that's going to send you flying backwards. I know you've seen those TikToks.
I have so many times, and especially all things
flank.
considered right now. Look at this flank. They broke the trip, so it should be a red flag for Vibin out, but still the pressure is on. Look at where Self is. Great positioning. They immediately trip themselves off. Nico's on the site, and they're looking for this fight, but it is an eco, so I'm not expecting too much from them. Oh, no.
What?
Wait, Self's got 2 so far. The numbers are stacked for Vibin, and all they've lost is a ghost?
Yeah, they've lost a ghost, and that's it. Harmony, it's, you know, you mentioned damage kind of being the name of the game here, and well, that's exactly the case. It's really going to be on Kutch just to see if he can find anything, maybe just a couple exits as the teammates of Harmony, they're running over towards that site. DK just trying to maybe stick that spike. There's that swing out from Kutch. And it actually doesn't go his way. It's just a frenzy spray down as he's now gonna kind of be able to pull a couple pieces of the puzzle away from that C site, and that means that stimulated, he can start to stick, but he's not going to be able to get all of the kills. Nico at the final moments takes him out, but Vibin out, that's a close anti-eco.
Talk about damage control. Even though Kutch wasn't able to do so as much as they wanted, it did provide a solid distraction for the rest of Harmony to rather sing song, I guess, come together and create a musical masterpiece to take down as much of the economy as they could. Now, the big question is, we did see Vibin out kind of light buy. I know they bought like some ghosts on some of these players. So are they going to be buying into this? That's my big question here.
They definitely could buy in, right? They could try and force that bonus. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. It does seem like instead it's more about just kind of keeping things clean, right? It's a bonus round. We don't need to break the bank.
Oh. They have a Guardian and a Bulldog.
Yeah, and their Bulldog has no shields. Vert is just like, you know what? I'm just going to shoot them in the head twice before they can shoot me in the body 3 times. And I kind of respect that.
A little bit of alert getting spot out. It's all good.
That's actually really, really nice for Self, because that means that not only can he start to really take this forward presence B, but I mean, it does draw rotations. So you do kind of have this position now where if you want to try and late hit this B site, you're going to have to do it against all of this utility that Harmony's using. But look at where Vert is now.
Vert's been spotted here, even though they have space towards A. They are going to plan to rotate here, and Simulated kind of has the read on them. Source, if they get spotted out, that's the spike down, unfortunately, for Harmony. They don't get spotted. Spike's still active. 30 seconds left for their push. The trap's going to get found.
Sours! He was
hold
out. But they got the plant. Vibin Out has that plant. It's now a 5v5, and they have kind of a little bit of time here to stick in towards these positions. So for Harmony, as they're going to try and just funnel retake through CT, except for Kutch on this flank, this is really the important thing. If Kutch can find any sort of impact
He's not looking! Self isn't looking in the right direction. Kutch is going to find one, and not only that, they're going to be able to blind out of position, and immediately we see the fall down. It breaks through. Thankfully, Vibin Out still winning out, and they managed to find the bonus. The slow roll works.
Vibin Out, they were able to do it. It was that crossfire on the site. You blind up short, you think, surely, okay, well, all we have to worry about is hell. And that's true. But Sours and Nico, in like the just most critical moments, they're able to find 2. They're able to continue to trade out over towards hell. And then that allows for the rest of Vibin Out to refill that space, to take it back. And all of a sudden, Harmony, they're surrounded, they're caught out, and they fall. They're now forced down to an eco. This is a really, really good start for Vibin Out.
I can see why Vibin Out decided to go for this map. They clearly have some set strategies in plays. Oh no, ZK1 is getting so aggro. They're just going to get caught off. Somehow staying alive. Firewolf picking up 1 onto Self, but they need to keep themselves alive. Wake with the trade. They did get some numbers, but it's immediately going to fall. ZK with 8 HP still dealing damage to Vibin Out.
Sour's going to be able to stick this plant on B, though. It does mean that Vibin Out, you know, you do have a little bit of a way into this round. You have to try and hold on to this retake. That neural theft is going to be used to try and figure out where Vibin Out wanted to play that from. They've ended up repositioning, but Nico looking to go exploring, actually finds Stimulated and finds ZK1 on the slide. Luminescent is there for the trade, but now it's a 2v2, and it's the same 2 on each side. It's Omen and Breach, both sides Kutch. The Omen for Harmony is now left alone as Vert finds Luminescent, and Sours is looking try and find Kutch, wrapping around the smoke. Sours holds for it and is good for it. It's Vibin Out to start things out 4-0.
And I like kind of the mind games Nico was playing with the neural theft, running into CT and doing a decent amount of damage immediately afterwards, right? Even though Luminescent got the trade, Nico getting active and putting them into that advantage situation where Vert needed to push onto the site, where the players from Harmony needed to get into Vibin Out's space, really allowed for Vibin Out to play it slow, which is exactly what they wanted, not only because of the time, but also because of the pressure that Harmony was putting onto them. And now again, we see a buy from both sides, and the 5th round is going to be spicy.
It has to be spicy, especially for Harmony. You don't want to go down 0-5. Yes, the map is attacker sided, but I mean, I don't know if it's that attacker sided. You really want to try and make some impact here. That's a little bit of info to start things off, as Vibin Out just continuing to try and figure out what this A site hold looks like for Harmony. There's a lot of impact ults available for both sides, right? You have a Rolling Thunder for Sours here that you could see piggybacked off of by an overdrive from ZK. So I think that is going to be the case. There's that Rolling Thunder and that overdrive. It's coming in. Nico just B-hopping all around. Actually gets caught out by a trap wire. He's going to have to just try and fall back for a little bit, just maintain the space on the site as it's a fake because Wake finds Clutch, but there's the spam from ZK onto Nico, and Self,
Neural theft?
just like that, can use that neural theft, and now they know that C site, it's completely clear.
And
So
Self
for
has
Harmony,
so much space.
oh my god.
Self has so
Harmony
much space right now.
Yeah. He has so much space, and they have that player advantage, so they can just plant for long and play things out as they need to. Harmony, this is, you know, dare I say, you could honestly consider saving.
All things considered, right? If Harmony spots out that trip, they're going to be really cautious of sight. Self is still on site. You have 3 players off it. Self doing the damage onto ZK1, gets traded, but it's all good. Simulated's there. Look at this. Wake has lineups. You have the concuss. You have a couple of, you have the aftershock. You have 2 flashes. It's all good. Simulated's going to find 1. Vert's going to grab the 2. And that's such a good play for Vibin out. I mean, they clearly knew what they were doing there. They had players in Garage. They had players in Long.
That's such a nice layered post plant from Vibin out. That's classic bread and butter, right? You're sitting there, you go, okay, you know what, Self, you can sit on the site. We're gonna have our 2 initiators over towards Long. Vert, all you need to do is you just need to re-wrap through Garage late on the lurk. It's beautiful. And for Harmony, this is a timeout from Firewolf that I think is meant to try and get everyone going again, right? We talk about what makes this Neon comp really successful on the defense, and it's about being aggressive early and trying to find fights. And actually, one of the closest rounds that Harmony got to winning was actually that eco round where they decided to just full send it out lobby and they caught everyone out off guard, right?
Exactly.
So, being able to use that to your advantage and try and take space and choke out the attacking side so they don't really have a position to just run it into a site and get a really strong post plant is key on the defense when you're looking at a Neon comp. And so if you're able to do that, maybe not necessarily in this round because you are going to be on some kind of eco weapons, but you do have some ultimates to kind of balance that. It could be interesting, but in general, I think we're looking for, you know, just a bit more of a heavy focus from the defense.
The thing I was going to say is A lobby control is so popular on this map, right? With teams just setting it up kind of like Rubble, where they just consistently are fighting for like control of a space. And we haven't seen that. Now we do. Look at this. ZK1 immediately. We have both of the initiators on point and so much control of that A lobby space. You can't get into it if you're vibing out, which cuts off one of your 3 potential, you know, question marks for the side of Harmony. You know they can't go there, so you could put more resources like Breach moving all the way towards the C site and potentially retaking B, knowing that they can pinch.
They could potentially retake, but you can see Vibin out kind of being made very aware of what's going on over towards this B site. They know that that Cypher trap wire is there. I was about to say Cypher. It's Cypher trap wire. Actually breaks all that utility, which is huge for Vibin out, because now for Harmony, they have no eyes on B. They have no clue what's going on. For all they know, there's a random Neon just in the back of the site. They're going to have to spend some time rotating over, and they're going to have to try and help their teammates on this island in A.
Oh, look at ZK1. Spams! Gets the triple, pops their ultimate. They're frying them. That's the concuss pushing through. Firewolf is there, gets shot for the back, but still, Vibin out has hemorrhaged so many players. And Firewolf, all they need to do is find Wake. He's been pinned, he's been pinched, and it's a thrifty round victory, all off the back of taking control. Literally, bar for bar, what you discussed in the timeout.
Yeah, right. You get that A lobby control, and ZK never gets cleared here. That Stinger triple kill, beautiful work. That's exactly what you need to see from this team. And you know what? Sure, the overdrive doesn't really find all that much. It finds 1 kill, but it's a round well earned for ZK1 and also for all of Harmony. Yeah, aura indeed.
That's all I can think of in my mind is just like he pops it for the aura to scare them away.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And now you can see it's a different look. It's that Cypher of stimulated over towards A, as instead it's aggression over towards B. And if you find Sours here, that's huge because that's a spike dropped in spawn.
Oh, wait, ZK1 is going to find Luminescent gets another. We see it off screen. Harmony seeming to kind of have those melodies put together for them. Now they just need to add some lyrics and the song is going to be ready to ship. And these guys are ready to find themselves a second round.
Well, Stimulated's alone on this A site, right? And that's where this spike is. So it's about to get planted. or at least tapped for some information. Is Vert gonna actually just continue looking around? Really interesting play. Oh, Stimulated's been heard. He's dead as a ditch. Just like that. Vert got it. Good and sold. A Hunter's Fury actually comes out from Harmony just to try and delay for a little bit longer, and they do it. Nico's playing Dance Dance Revolution, man.
Boom, boom, left, right, Vert already taking control. There it is. Firewolf finding one with that precise aim. And Harmony on this retake, they have the read on these players. Wake, last player standing, gets caught off. It's a 1v3. They have some room to work with. I think Firewolf, it has the read on Wake, though, considering that they've had so much pressure. Clutch goes out. Okay, they've saved themselves with this smoke towards hell. They know that Wake has got to be towards hell, and they're just going to be playing this time. Dart comes through. It's going to get broken. And look, the entire squad is there and ready.
Once again, it's that control, right? Harmony knows, well, we just completely pushed down mid. There was no one there. We got a kill on the Sours, so we know that the spike was over towards A. Stimulated, all you need to do is stay alive for a little bit. Let us kind of get this retake started. They get themselves into that player advantaged position, and then all of a sudden the rounds start coming their way. This is huge, especially because if you're Harmony and you win this round, now all of a sudden that's a vibing out eco. You're looking to try and tie things up at that point. It's a really good start to what could be a really great half from Harmony.
That is the goal, and Harmony again taking this space. ZK1 applying so much pressure. We immediately see Orb being picked up by, I believe, Wake, as well as they want to make sure, Firewolf, making sure that they have their Hunter's Fury to fire it off at ready. Harmony has the read. They know Vibin Out is most likely going to end C here, considering how mumuch pressure they've exuded. And Vibin Out hasn't changed too much of their strategy, and that's kind of fair, considering that they've been winning with just solid pushes and team coordination.
Yeah. Oh, this garage. It's oh so contentious, and you can see all of these players about to try and jiggle their way through these bullets and into these fights. ZK1 on that backstab, swinging through the cage, able to not find a thing. Instead, it's Luminescent and Stimulated to do it instead. There's Firewolf, though, on the rewrap, who's able to find a third, and now all of a sudden, for Vibin Out, it's just these two players over towards Long. And it's Vert.
Just say there's a Hunter's Fury.
There's a Hunter's Fury, but Clutch is just running you down, and Wake is able to find Stimulated, but it's still a 1v3 for Wake, and Firewolf is looking to just stick it in the meantime. He's got that spike defused. Even if his teammates go down, it's still a third round for Harmony.
You know what they say, pros don't fake. If you have the ability to just defuse that bomb, go for it. And Firewolf playing that objective is going to force out not only a timeout, but also scaring a Vibin Out, I would say. Because Vibin Out, they looked very strong pushing onto the site. Even at the top of this round, I said, hey, they are probably just doing the same thing where they just run it down. They have good team coordination. They send Nico in, and they have the initiator utility follow the duelist. And with that, they simply take space and absolutely decimate Harmony. But Harmony has figured out how to play together on their retakes. We saw Nico go in immediately into Garage, and then the rest of the roster flooded in. We saw Spam kill because Nico got information for the rest of the team. And then on top of all of that, the pressure that was exuded by Harmony forced Vibin Out into not only using a Hunter's Fury, but also into a panic state. All that together just shows that Harmony can now combat this solid push. So Vibin Out needs to change their strategy and, hopefully get at least the 6th round bare minimum, and potentially even 7-8 on top of that.
That's the hope, right? That you're able to kind of mix things up. But the big fear on my end is that ZK got that op.
Oh yeah.
Right? That thing terrifies me, because we know just how good of an aimer he is with, a stinger or a rifle. And so when you don't even need to spray anyone down, and instead you're just looking for one simple click, that's pretty dangerous. And they're on the A line already.
Yeah, and just immediately on top of that, the immediate presence towards short is going to ensure that they cannot go A. They hear the op, they're like, all right, we're out of here.
Yeah. They don't want to try and challenge that, and instead, they're going to try and look for something around C, and unfortunately, it's already been spotted out from Kutch's from the shadows. And so now, what's your next avenue? Is it mid? Okay, well, you have Firewolf pushing down mid alongside his teammate. And so Now, with all of, these kind of avenues, you have so much to re-clear and only a minute to do it before you can even get to a site.
ZK is just going to keep holding this. They don't want to contest that at all. Interesting. Nico picking up the spike. You wouldn't expect it, and it's being held. Oh, Breach is holding it. The stun could be brutal, especially if Nico's runs in there. Yeah, they're going to push in. They're going to go for the fast plant. It immediately gets ulted out of position. Vert going to pick up Simulated on top of that. Harmony's lost a player, and this slow roll might be working for them as they just go from B to C, and are going to get this quick plant down. They were probably baiting out that ultimate with Nico.
Oh,
but unfortunately,
the spike doesn't go down. The spike's not down. There's still 13 seconds left. There has to be some sort of play for Harmony because this is really the only time you've got to do this. You catch off Wake, and now it's actually a 3v1 in the other way. It's all up to Self, and he's able to find ZK, but now it's that 1v2. It's the 2 initiators for Harmony, and Firewolf closes it out just like that off the back of that one player of Kutch over towards C-Long. He gets that kill, and it buys enough time for his team to take a fourth.
No, that was Kutch single-handedly kind of impact frag, right? Like
no,
that was the impact frag.
Yes.
You take down Nico there. Nico baited on B to get that ultimate out. Sours just immediately was like, okay, we need to rotate off this. Vert and the rest of them followed. Self was lurking there. Self didn't get a pick onto anyone running into CT, and then Self needed to run onto the site, but they came super late. By the time that the dust settled, there was no way for Vibin out to win. And even though Harmony did use that ultimate, they had a lot of pressure. They still, they had the reads in the end.
Oh, Nico. Okay, a little bit of a trapwire reveal, and oh my God, it's a Modown in Garage. Okay, Kutch and Luminescent just completely shred Vibin out's plans, hopes, and dreams in round number 10. 2 players left in a 2v4.
Yeah, I don't know about the vibes, Ancient, and just to immediately take that joke out here. ZK is gonna grab one more, and I think that you got to get out there if you're Sova.
Okay, just wallbang headshot for the lulz, right?
Of course, for the culture, and it's 5-5, tied score line here.
It's been 5 in a row from both teams. It was Vibin out with the first 5 in a row, and then Harmony has now gotten the next 5 in a row. And so, I mean, all things considered, I find that this comeback from Harmony has almost been more impressive than the first 5 rounds from Vibin out.
Yeah, because, I mean, a lot of the times you talk about you win the pistol, you kind of carry some of that momentum forward. These are the rifle rounds. These are like the ending rounds here. And if we could see the same pressure from Harmony continue, oh, well, I mean, they're going to manage to get themselves a 7-5 after being at a 5-round loss at the beginning. That was risky, but, I like the play. Nico and Omen probably calming together. All right, we're peeking this.
Ooh, jiggle. Wow. Okay, now you know. The op is towards C. Is Self going to jiggle it again? No, instead plays it more safe as the rest of his team just runs over towards A, and stimulated with that Odin. You're going to have to back off. You do not want to keep taking that fight. Instead, you're just going to hope that that Hunter's Fury that comes in will delay for long enough for your team to rotate in.
And they're going to go for it, though. The plant goes down. Kutch finds Self. We see Shock Dart and Recon going out, but the spike's already there. Vibin out, getting to a really solid crossfire post-plant position, knowing most of the players are going to be flooding out of this CT. Hopefully, though, this is where it comes down to it. The coordination on this retake. We see the Rolling Thunder come through, as well as an Aftershock. Simulated is going to get caught by it. We see a fault line on top of that. Vibin out, feeling a lot better and a lot closer together. Wake gets another. A team flash comes through, miscoordinated, but it's still going to work out for them. That's Firewolf picking up the double. Vert's there in the corner, though. Spam through, nothing found. And thankfully, Vibin out, who can pick up a round.
Last round.
Vibing their way up to a 6-6 half minimum, right? This is exactly kind of the bounce back that you need if you're Vibing out. You need to try and come into this next half with a little bit of momentum, right? And especially if you can do that with a small lead, and how close some of these rounds have been, you absolutely will take that. So You're in a decent position here. Sure, it's not a perfect buy with every single bell and whistle you could ever ask for, but it's still pretty good. Yes, ZK is still on and off, but you have a pretty good idea of how you can get around this A site hold. You're going to kind of just try and do the same thing again.
I was going to say, that felt like the exact same execute. They avoided the dart and the stun. Like, this seems like the play hasn't changed. And maybe it's a fake, because bomb hasn't been dedicated yet.
No, bomb is it's looking like it's headed towards A, but it was the same exact kind of execute. You saw that double face into the smoke yet again, but you can see the rotations this time. The adjustment from Harmony is, okay, well, let's go exploring, let's clear this out. Instead, they find nothing, so that could pull some rotations as Vert's just kind of left to lurk in the meantime. ZK's still posted up towards C, and if Vibin Out does opt to try and take this site through the garage, not only will they try and have to go through that op, but there's also that other player of Kutch waiting. But Kutch isn't even needed. Nico's immediately just gone and out, but look at that A site.
It's empty.
Completely open. Vert has it. They have the plant.
I think if Vert also goes exploring right now and they find Link clear, they can catch one of these players on the rotate. Firewolf does not have the positioning. That's one found. A TP back to site. Vert playing it safe, knowing that they finally equalize their numbers. They do not want to give anything up. And it seems like almost exactly the same post-plant position. Breach and Omen back down towards Hell, while the rest of the roster is playing safe. We have Cypher down towards the middle to keep that bomb up, and Sova playing backside. Flash comes through. Spam is there. It's 1-for-1. Pinstripes are there. And Harmony is down to their final player as Self locks it in with a 3-piece. 7-5. Vibin Out brought it back.
Switching sides.
I mean, yeah, they started good, and then Harmony brought it back to a tie game, and now we're seeing the resurgence of Vibin Out. And now it's a new half, right? There is no more of this, oh, well, you know, it could just still be back and forth, right? It's a new half. The momentum, economically speaking, completely over. Right? Everyone's on an even ground. Everyone has that same 800 credits to spend. It's really just about what impact you can find now that you're in theory on your weaker side if you're Vibin Out, or stronger side if you're Harmony. You can see for Harmony, it's all about that default, that loose spread across the map to try and find some basic info. And Vibin Out, they're sticking to the guns that made Harmony so successful on some of the rounds that they were winning, with 3 players over towards A.
Wow. Immediate space funneling into B from a default position into just a B exec. ZK1 winning the fight was crucial there. If they didn't, that would have been a really rough start. Self catching one on the lurk as the B site has been taken. It's a rotate towards C through CT as we see Firewolf seeing what they can spot out. Self gets one on Luminescent, and they finally have positions on site. But look who's lagging behind.
ZK, 20 HP. Behind all 3 of these Vibin Out players as they're looking to retake. He has this backstab. All he needs to do is wait and buy time. Oh, but the shots go wide. And now they know it's a 3v2. And these 2 players over towards Cubby, they're stuck. They're pinned in. Z has to try and just buy some time, or maybe vice versa, for one of these 2 angles to try and get the edge over the other. Z's just stuck in. He doesn't want to peek. He doesn't want to do anything. But now that Sours has found that kill, it's all up to these 2 players in Cubby, and they found Sours, which means now for Wake, it's just about these shots. And while you can find the first, 2 heads are still better than 1. Kutch can clutch 2, and now it's a 6-7 scoreline for Harmony.
And that's going to be not, I wouldn't say, you know, the tie exactly, because we have seen some thrifties come through, but generally it's a eco round to pretty solid buy. We see 3 rifles. No, 2. Still contentious on there, but they have some amount of rifles. They have stingers. They have sheriffs. To a couple of sheriffs on the Vibin outside. So hopefully these guys are going to be left outside and potentially could pick something up with their buy up.
Ooh, speaking of aggression on these ecos. That's a bunch of bodies over towards C, and you can see that Harmony is like, yeah, you know what? We don't need to take that fight. Let's just go over towards A. You know, we can push Wake off of this. Wake is he's a smart player. He likes to play that percentage. He's going to play for his life. So he's going to back up, wait for his teammates to help him retake. And that means that you get all this space, and Kutch can actually find that flank of Self. So all of a sudden, this becomes a whole lot easier if you're Harmony and your ZK1 over just towards Hell, just waiting.
Aftershock. Okay, Aftershock's gonna push them away, but they still have players. Nico dropped down from heaven. Maybe he is an angel. Firewolf finally gonna take them down with the brimstone, simulated and clutch, picking up the pieces. Wake is the last player here alive, but it was possible. It looked like Nico had just done something, but unfortunately, Harmony was managed to bring it back together.
Yeah, they collected themselves in the end.
I was like, Nico, what the heck?
What? Yeah, no, it's okay. We're all good. Nothing happened. Instead, it's just, everything is business as normal. You get this kind of bonus round in. You basically keep all of your weapons aside from one Spectre, which gets downgraded to a Sheriff.
I'll find them.
This is a really, really good bonus out of Harmony, especially when you look at just how much money they have left in the bank. Any kills that they find right now are going to be just, they're Vibin Out's going to feel it like 10 times more.
Oh, yeah. Oh, entirely so. And ZK is already on the site. They're going to push in. That's 2 found on top of that. And this
Sours?
is such a solid bonus. Sours picking up 1, but immediately gets traded. And the fast execute is just going to decimate Vibin Out here. This is their map pick. And they're going to be going down, I think, for the first time in rounds if they can't pick this up.
I'm out of here.
Well, the first time since... Oh, yeah, no. Just
the first time. Yeah.
Just the first time. So
Yeah.
You don't want to go down because then you're kind of playing from this pressure that you didn't know existed. But
Last player.
unfortunately,
Ooh,
Firewolf
what a
is just
lineup.
going to swing in. And that means, nerds, that both teams have won their bonus rounds.
Yeah. And just, I mean, if it's going to be a repeat of last time, and if Harmony is going to go on a tear, it is a lot worse in the second half. And hopefully I don't need to explain why it's a lot worse. They're on an eco currently. They lose this. It's 9-7. Potentially, even if, they copy what Vibin Out did, they get 5 here. Boom. That's going to be 10-10. It's going to be 10-7. And you have to worry about that because that's, a huge deficit.
Yeah, the big thing about this second half is it's all about that pressure, right? As it just continues to build and creep up on you, it's how do you react and how do you deal with that. So for Vibin Out, first time you're kind of being placed on the back foot in terms of the context of the game, and you can see it's really, really quiet for them. Harmony just doing things cleanly, using that ultimate to clear out the back of the site, running in, getting the spike plant, and now we just post up because if you're Harmony and you're like, well, Vibin Out's on an eco, surely we can just win our fights because we have better weapons, right?
Ooh,
right?
But Nico has an overdrive. Nico might be doing things again. They did this last time, but immediately as I get hype, they go down. Vert gonna pick up another Antiluminescent. It's possible, but it's still very unlikely. All things considered, Vert has a Sheriff in hand. They pick up an upgrade. The spam comes through. They line up, but thankfully, ZK1's gonna win the fight. Wake back in this position. It's impossible to win, though. And this is what we didn't want to see, that 9th round coming to fruition for Harmony.
It's what you don't want to see if you're a Vibin Out fan, but I mean, for Harmony, it's not the cleanest thing ever, but when you're going up against, an overdrive, you're able to force out those ultimates, like Vibin Out, they have nothing left in the tank in terms of ultimates here. The next closest one they have is going to be, Wake's Hunter's Fury in terms of something that's super, super impactful.
Yeah.
So for Harmony, you have a Hunter's Fury of your own in Firewolf. You have ZK's Overdrive that you could use at any moment. That's a brilliant round for you to win. And now it's really about how can you really snowball off of this? Because when Vibin Out was able to take 5 in a row, you were able to clutch that immediately right back. So you have to assume your opponents can do the same. What is the momentum? How do you keep things going forward as you are now getting kind of frozen out here in this timeout from Vibin Out?
Another thing I just want to add on top of this is Vibin Out. They were the roster that, I kind of went snooping on, and Nico on their stream, that they had some of those, I wouldn't say comm issues, but their comms felt a little disorganized during their Ascent game and the previous tournament that they played. That I was able to see. That was 2-3 days ago. So that kind of puts into question, are they going to be from a deficit, which is what they had last time? They had a deficit and their comms were a bit rough. How are they going to learn from that? Are they going to be able to, push past the growing pains, or are they going to thrive? That's the big question in my mind. And I think that this round could determine it. They have Nico on the op. They have the rest of the roster with weapons and rifles. So it's a matter of winning out here to prevent the double digits.
Well, In order to win, first has to start with a kill. And it's all quiet. No one wants to be that first death. You can see just how much this round is going to impact the rest of this game. It was 2 bullets traded for both teams in that engagement over towards A main. You see this backup, this call over of, trying to bring Nico back to the site. But Harmony, they're just saying, you know what? Sure, have it. Keep your sight. We don't need it. We're just going to rotate off. But look at where Self is. All the way down towards C. So much space.
That could be a brutal pinch. When you see the ciphers kind of pushing together, so might be something there. I have a feeling that Self might get this pick on to, unfortunately, simulated.
Shot.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
that's the neural theft popped.
It starts off, but that combat offing, it doesn't work in Nico's favor. So ZK is able to take that, and now it's a 4v4, and Self blinded up, actually able to find ZK thanks to that reveal, and now as Vert can find Kutch, it's now a 2v4. Self can just continue to try and backstab as these trades go every which way. Vibin out in the 1v2 for Firewolf. He's able to find the first and the second after he swings out the smoke. Harmony, you just can't lose. It's a clutch.
No, they had the 2 players, especially after, looking at the replay right now, right? We see it unfold. Self and Vert finding picks. They managed to get the numbers advantage into this position here. They try to go for the tap, and you'd think, right, Firewolf is probably playing from CT, but they've snuck up and used your own smoke against you to take an advantage. And we immediately see, interestingly enough, a timeout come through, probably to iron out some of those, comms and make sure that they can work together. But I also I want to question this timeout. And I'm always, as a caster, I always, yap about, teams don't time out at the right times. Teams time out at different weird occasions. I don't think this is a good timeout. You just won, even if there were some comms issues. You have the momentum. You've not only just won 5 in a row and got yourself double digits, but you're also putting Vibin out into a really good spot here. Now they have some time to rethink and talk about what happened that previous round.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, though. I think this is a really good timeout from. And
okay.
I'm gonna spin it in the case of, yeah, you're able to win that round, but it was a clutch. And in all fairness, Firewolf should have never won that clutch. That was an absolutely insane play that caught both of these players from Vibin out completely off guard. So when you're looking at Harmony, if you want to close things out right now, which you are absolutely in the position to do, right? You should, in theory, win this round because it is an eco. Vibin out only have sheriffs. So if you win this round, that puts you at 11-7. And from there, even if you're trading rounds 1 for 1, the worst case scenario is 13-9. You are in a perfect position. You need to iron out some of these wrinkles, though, to make sure that you aren't slipping and giving rounds back to Vibin out. You don't want to give them room to close this game. So this is a super important round, even though the economy doesn't necessarily agree with that.
See, that's what I was also going to add was it's an eco round, so I get it. You have some time in this round to really coordinate that. But I do see your point. And honestly, that is fair. Considering how much pressure Harmony has, they have 4 ultimates they need to talk about, discuss how to use. We have sheriffs on Vert, although he's looking in the wrong direction. How are they going to layer this? They pop the neural theft, which is going to be huge for info.
They're committing to C?
I mean, it might be just simulated. Yeah, I think it's just simulated.
Okay. It was just that lurk through garage, which actually pays off for stimulated.
Talk about happy.
Right? Yeah, just jumping around, dance revolution, just everyone's having a good time. That's a ult from Vibin out, a Hunter's Fury to try and delay this plant, but it will still go down for Harmony, and that's 3 ultimates available in their back pocket to use throughout the rest of this game.
2 really strong ones to retake.
Watching the smoke, Self goes down, and Sours just... Oh, wait.
Sours wait.
They did a little bit of damage here. It's a 1v3, and Wake is still fragging. These ultimates might get used sooner rather than later, nerds.
Yeah, Firewolf, they have 2 really strong ultimates for this retake, and Wake has just gotten, from nothing, from 0 to 100. Wake's on the tap. We see Firewolf peek out. They tap up, do some damage. Wake does not have the time, though, unfortunately. The pressure is just going to be there. We even have the Aftershock, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Amethyst. Nice little, roost from Luminescent there. Doesn't you have to always make sure that your egg is warm enough to hatch, or your
Of
spike in this
course.
case.
Otherwise,
So-
you don't win the games.
Yes. Luminescent being a good parent.
Of course.
The spike.
I mean, with how they've been playing right now, I mean, I'm not surprised. 12 assists is
12
crazy.
assists. Literally just like
Yeah.
the parent of this squad. Just all right, guys. Remember, keep your leashes on. I'm gonna help you.
All
go
right,
kill. You know, you
ZK, I'm flashing for you. Enter into garage right now. Make sure to cover the trip.
Yep. Oh, follow up off the back of that Hunter's Fury as well, and you're able to take care of Vert. But there's still a player named Self on the site. As soon as I say that, though, ZK just says, who's this Self guy? I've never
They win
heard
the
of him
fight.
before.
They
They
win
win
it.
the fight. They win the fight. They're
They
able
get
to
it.
plant. It's a 5v3.
It's a harmony, but
Yep.
and at this point, for all of us to see Vibin out is most likely not going to be able to win this. Unfortunately, I'm going to say it because they have not only 3 players, but this ultimate, if it's not used in the correct manner, is going to be really rough. And look who's still on the site, ZK, hiding away in the corner. They're playing as a distraction. Gets soft cleared, and it's not going to work. ZK ults. Nico pushing in against it. We see a counter ult come through. Nico takes out ZK, but still, the pressure and the timing is on. They put the wall up, but there is Cypher utility on the site. The half's going to be found, but you have a firing squad on your end, and that's going to be match point found for Harmony. I called it. I mean, they had so much stacked in Harmony's favor there. I do not think that Vibin Out could have won that.
Yeah, it's such a tough position for Vibin Out to try and dig their way out of in that round. And you can see for Harmony, it's been all green on this attacker. I guess all red in this case. But just a beautiful, beautiful string of rounds that they're able to piece together here. They say, we don't need 5 in a row. We can do 7 and even potentially 8 here as Vibin Out. They're forcing down to bits. They have a couple Guardians on their side. Everyone's on light shields, and it's all about this Hail Mary push down C long as Nico runs into that trap wire. You have to give up that space.
And you know what's in my mind right now, Ancient, is that this is Vibin Out's map pick and Harmony picked Lotus, so it's looking rough. Not to get ahead of myself though. The site's been taken, and we have seen how Vibin Out plays this. Unfortunately, the timing's not there. ZK's got the double, and Vibin Out need to figure out a way out of this.
You have to, and you have to do it now, especially because that spike is down, and you still could deal with an overdrive on the other end. And Nico, it's really about what you can find in heaven. It's what you can find off the back of dropping down from this smoke. If you choose to do it at a right time or not, that's up to you, as Vert's going to start to jiggle in. It's actually Nico to find Luminescent, but there's that swing from ZK on the other side, and all of a sudden, it's all down to just Sours, and he'll fall to Firewolf. That means it's done, it's dusted, it's settled. Harmony can take Haven 13-7 to bring themselves up a map in the series.
And I mean, just you said 8 in a row, and 8 in a row is what we got. They dominated through that attacking half, and we sided attack-sided, 3-sided map, but that is just Harmony-sided in that case, because you would expect some sort of retribution from Vibin Out on their map pick. And it seems like, we're still seeing some of those growing pains, right? They haven't fit into their clothes. The pants, they still need to pull them up. And at this point, you kind of need to step up that game, because if they're down like that and they can't bring themselves back after what was 2 timeouts, not in a row, but practically in a row, and even the enemy roster giving you a timeout, even I commented on this, where it's like, you can use this to try and gain some momentum back, and you didn't manage to do that. That's just gonna, it's going to be devastating. It's going to be devastating for Vibin Out, especially to the morale. And hopefully after a little break here, they have something. But before we go to break, obviously, we got to yap a little more. So pass it to you, Ancient. What do you got to say about this?
I mean, first off, 8 in a row, is insane, right? That's something you don't see too often. And it does come off the back of a lot of individual efforts here from a lot of these players, right? Like you talk about what Nico was able to do. Talk about ZK on the other side, right? That the battle of the neons, just kind of wizard lasering each other to see who could win. So, stats should be up in a moment, just so we can kind of talk about, what, like, you can visualize what we're saying more specifically. But so before that, we'll get that stats up in just a moment, but you're gonna have to bear with us. We're gonna cut to a quick break and we'll be back just after this.
Rising with each beat of the music is bringing real flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome, my heart's so full, I'm devoting myself to the night. There's no motive, we're just listening, we're existing. We stay when the music plays, stop below where the people sway.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Luxe Series. My name is Ancient Angel. Here with me is Nerd's Corner, and we just came off the back of a crazy map 1, 13-7, but that really doesn't tell us the whole story, does it, Nerd?
No, it does not. A 7-5 half with Vibin out on the up and up, especially after, finally getting into a tie. And then, they win out the second half. They are 2 rounds up and immediately 8 in a row won. So from 7-5, 8 in a row won, 13-7, Vibin out, didn't pick up a single round. There were some close rounds. There was a really nice clutch. But at the end of the day, they didn't manage to win out. And that's going to put a lot of just, I wouldn't say self-doubt, but it's going to put some thoughts and emotions into these players that hopefully they'll overcome to come out as victors on Lotus, which is going to be the next map we're heading into.
Just before that, just to kind of go over some of like the standout performances on Haven, scoreboard should be popping up any moment, just so you can visually see a lot of these stat lines that were kind of going on. You had some insane performances. I think even when you talk about clutches, right? Like Firewolf, a player that comes to mind in the clutch. Kutch even had a couple 1v1 moments that were looking really good. There was a lot of good team play between a lot of players on both sides. You saw a lot of those moments where it was just constant trades back and forth in the kill feed, just super scrappy and close rounds. It really was the thing that made the difference at the end, was kind of like we were talking about the big differences between the core of Harmony that's been together for just a little bit longer and then the new roster of Vibin Out.
Yeah, I mean, ZK1, Firewolf, and Kutch were at the top of that board, right? They were,
Mhm.
in all, leading the kill feed. And yippee!
There
W
it is.
production, W producers. Thank you for showing it. I literally, perfect segue. ZK1,
Mhm.
Firewolf, and Kutch all together. Not only have they led in terms of the kill feed, but also just assists on Kutch and Luminescent are insane.
Yeah.
Simulated was just being a thorn on their side. So Simulated's like, if you've ever played Pokemon, like just setting out stealth rocks, you're just there,
Yeah.
just hiding in the corner, and every time someone enters your area, boom, a little chip damage.
Yep. No, and it worked out really, really well. And this is kind of the big point that you need to see from a lot of these players, is this is the impact you're getting, right? You have Firewolf, least amount of deaths in the server at 9. There were 20 rounds in this game. He was living over half of all rounds ever. Firewolf was absolutely ridiculous, and that's the reason they won out Haven. Now we have to see if this will translate to Lotus, because these agent selects, it's coming in real quick, nerds. So we kind of get to talk a little bit about Lotus and some of the agents we're expecting to see on Lotus. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, you could go with, Breach and Fade and KJ, a neon kind of composition, considering that we do see some of that similarity from Haven, where it's like Firewolf can play on potentially Sova, Gecko, or Fade. I'm not sure if KJ is going to be picked. I do like Cypher on this map as well. But that's kind of the thoughts that are floating in my head of how they're going to be playing this map. What about yourself?
So immediately the first thing that jumps to my mind is Raze, right? Jumps being the keyword.
But
it has to be mentioned. I think there is an argument to be made for potentially Chamber. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm not saying
just
for
get
sure, but exactly, the Chamber buffs and the Astra buffs did just come in, so it would be entirely possible to see it. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. In fact, it is going to be the return of the dueling neons, so we're going to see even more lasered wizard battles between the two duelists of Nico and ZK.
Makes me so happy.
It's actually double initiator that seems to be going on here, as on one side for Vibin out, it's basically the same comp they had on Haven, just replace a Fade with a Sova, or vice versa. And for Harmony, they're actually they were bringing in a KO, but I think Luminescent last minute decided to veto that, and instead we're going to see stimulated on the KJ instead of the Cypher.
I mean, it's kind of what I said, right? Just the way that this map plays in, this rank, it makes sense. I want to go with what's going to be super consistent. I would hope that people start scrimming with the new changes, but considering that it's been out for, I believe a couple of days so far, I could see why they probably didn't get a lot of scrims, and they don't have the books and the plays to really call, especially trying to come up with mid-round calls to something that they might not be prepared for. It's going to be rough, but I'm happy to see Fade. I do very much think that Fade, especially if you have lineups and really good coordination, which we have seen out of some of these players, even though, it's on the Vibin outside, I still think there's a lot of credibility to that play. And hopefully, hopefully it'll work out, because both Harmony and Vibin out, I just realized they both got Fade. I thought one of them had a Sova for some reason.
No, they're both running the Fade Breach, so Initiator's still staying the exact same. The only difference in these two comps is one has a Cypher, the other has a Killjoy. So we'll see what that defense looks like for Harmony when it's their turn for it. Instead, unfortunately, it's going to be about this attacking side first, to the side that's already up the first map.
This is their map choice as well. So I feel like them starting on the better side, plus them starting off with that, the vibe, I guess, of winning, that high of victory. I have a feeling Harmony might be taking this first round, just a gut check here, but look at where Nico is.
Nico!
With the shots! And there it is! Kutch is going to grab them. And look, and again, it's that sort of like factor, that X factor that's in your soul when you're just like, you whiff, and it's like, it's so demoralizing.
Yeah, you feel nauseous. I whiffed, I lost it, and now all I have is my teammates to try and retake this at a player disadvantage in the 4v5. But as Kutch goes pushing, it could potentially catch out a player, but that paranoia, it's gonna, back things off. It's gonna cool things down, as now it's Luminescent who's looking to get active in Heaven and finds both Self and Wake. It's now all up to Vert. Can only find 2 and nothing more. Harmony's able to take this first round with 3 still alive and kicking. I mean, this is kind of where that crazy moment happens, right? You try and set up for this fight in Heaven. You can see right here. And it's all ZK and Luminescent just being able to tap them down.
I'll be so real, Ancient. Corner. It's just that gut feeling I was talking about, that X, like that's sort of like it's the momentum. It's the reason we casters yap about it so much. And hopefully we can see some of that coming out for Vibin out. They do have the vibes. They're the team of hopefully the emotions. So that's where this comes from.
The team that is vibing out.
They just gave out their position, so.
Well, but they do break that turret, right? So it forces a lot of attention back towards B instead. As now you try and fight towards Mound, Kutch takes out Nico, and now all of these flashes means that Wake's going to fall next in line. Oh, these players all kind of stuck in this little corner means that eventually Self will fall, and that is a flawless second round for Harmony. I don't even think any of them took damage, let alone die.
Yeah, it's one of those rounds. I always wish there was a stat line for it's like perfectly flawless, where they don't take any damage. But who's to say? It's gonna be from the eco to the bonus, and in this point, oh no, fire! Oh no, fire wolf! Oh no!
You see,
Oh no!
disconnect.
Oh, that's gonna be a tech timeout probably.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, wait,
No,
but the
it's a tech pause.
barriers.
Yeah, this is a known issue in Valorant. If it pauses, if you pause the timer real close to the barriers dropping, the barriers will pretend drop. So
A little bit sneaky, a little bit of a
yeah.
secret.
Right, so it's like, oh, did the round start? Didn't it? Find out next episode, because you know, we've got a little bit of a pause.
Well, we can make a little bit of a prediction. Do you think it's gonna be the same sort of stat line where each team wins their bonus and gets the 3 rounds? We did see some buy-ups for Harmony. They do have weapons to contest with and rifles in hand, but I would hope that Vibin Out can win out. So I'm gonna kind of go for the underdog play and say that Vibin Out is gonna win this.
Okay, I've thought about it. I've put my 100% of my brain power into this prediction. I don't think it's going to go the same way. I think it makes more sense to just buy the numbers, just say it's a bonus round. You don't really have that weapon advantage. The rotations are a little bit easier to play with on a map like Lotus, but at the same time, when you're working from a weapon disadvantage, it's also really easy to just anchor down and hold a site. And so especially when you're running into something like a Cypher, which can play really ratty kind of trip locations, right? Like, have you seen some of the kill setups that can go on these extremity sites? Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
insane.
Didn't we talk about this where Neon slides goes and immediately like bounces
exactly
back?
Like, it's so easy to rack up kills as an anchoring sentinel, and Cypher is someone that excels at doing just that on the site. So I feel like it's going to be really difficult for this team to kind of string together their bonus on the attacking side.
I honestly am going to have to agree. I mean, I said the same thing. I would hope that they pick up this rifle round and carry that momentum forward for Vibin Out to get the vibes up and out. But as I'm going to go look at the production shots, they say that the players have reconnected. So we'll be getting into the game shortly. Oh, production? Oh,
So
they're getting some stuff coming through here.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit more to talk about, I guess.
We do. It's more about, on a broader scale, like when it comes to this map, at least, does the results of last match define your team? In the sense that, like, are we going to continue to see Harmony play like they are deserving of a win? Or are we going to see, you know, to the other side, but the same effect? Are we going to see Vibin Out play a little bit more passive, play a little bit more scared, really kind of afraid to take fights, regardless of whether or not it's with utility? That's kind of the fear that I have about Vibin Out. Is it does kind of feel like they're going to start playing a bit more sheltered, and they're going to be a bit more afraid to take space, especially, you know, in this map of Lotus, where if you thought extremity control was important on Haven,
oh yeah,
you haven't seen Lotus yet.
Especially because in Lotus fighting for that space off of defense and Vibin Out starting off on the defense, they need to have that sort of confidence to play off of each other. Where it's like if you're sending the Neon out towards Rubble or Mound, or even if you do want to go for that rare sort of B push out, so then you can try and fast flank or potentially just gain early info. Regardless of what main area you're trying to control, you need to trust in not only your initiator util, but also in the rest of the team to kind of, you know, pick up the pieces if it goes into a one-on-one where it's like you get one, but then you get traded out and becomes a 4v4. Especially on defense, some teams will be like, they won't want that info. They don't want to go for that because they're worried that that momentum is going to get lost. And if, you know, let's say they just go through, Nico just immediately dashes out and gets head dinked, and boom, it's now a 4v5. it's going to immediately throw off how Vibin Out's going to play. I would hope that they have more confidence. I have a feeling that they will, and that's why I'm like, okay, they have guns, they get some confidence here, they push themselves together. It's something that they had a problem with from what we've talked about previously, but we're not gonna yap more about this. We're gonna talk about the round that's currently happening.
The round that's currently kind of evolving before our eyes as Harmony immediately pushed towards Link as
Oh no.
Cheek and Luminescent just completely rip open everyone's hopes, dreams, and feelings. And I do have one fear, and my fear is that you, Nerds Corner, might be correct about who wins this bonus.
I mean, I initially was like, I want Vibin Out to win. I want Vibin Out to win. But then like, it's the underdog play, right? It's like, I want Vibin Out to do something here. But unfortunately, it's just like, they don't want to go for, I don't know how the round started, but I don't know if they went for that aggressive early play. Sours is now doing some damage, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough. It's going to be some free upgrades probably, and 3-0. The stat line continues.
If I remember correctly, it was they went for an aggressive play towards A, but Harmony went for an aggressive play towards B. And so that kind of swirl left these two players over towards C Link caught very much off guard, and that is what allowed Harmony to just kind of snowball their way into the C site and eventually get that plant. And by the time that flank was coming in, it was just too late. So for Vibin Out, now you're on this eco. You have to try and get something done here, but the question is, what do you do and how do you do it?
Honestly, at this point, I'm kind of at a loss for words, because Vibin Out, they're on the defense, right? So obviously, retaking C, a common strategy we've seen from some teams, adopted from VCT, but they can't just rely on that all the time. And considering that they are on an eco, maybe gamble stacking, pushing out C Mound or something like that with a breach stun. But it's all hypothetical. At the end of the day, Vibin Out needs to also get their mental in check.
That mental for Vibin Out. That is also a question mark throughout this series, right? Like you talked about how, when they were down, spirits were still up, but the question is if that's going to stay that way, especially when Stimulated just continues to hit shots like that. It really does kind of put you in a position where, okay, well, if they can just never miss, what's the point in us even trying to make a goal?
Vert was trying to play it, metagame it a little bit, but unfortunately the Masters are here. You go out, ZK1's found the first, is going to try and get the second, but there is going to be Sours on the off angle to push in together. That's a Vandal dropped and potentially pick here. Unfortunately, the numbers are still in line. Self picking up another. The numbers even out. This could be a chance for them to retake altogether. Sours sends out their utility, a flash in. They need to clear this corner out, but the double is there. Fire and Stimulate to pick things up. Self is trying to revive this. They do not have a self-res, but they have themselves to play off of. They peak slowly, and Luminescence gonna light the way.
That's a really, really good idea from the side of Vibin Out, right? Like you're saying, oh, well, we don't have the player advantage. We're just going to try and funnel Self into being the best, like, killing machine he can be. But ultimately, you can't really do all that much. You have to just call it a day. You go down 0-4, and it was a good eco, but I mean, Harmony has that overdrive just ready and waiting to pop, and if it gets used right now, that could be catastrophic. But instead, it's Nico to find the opener on Tizgi and actually gets another one on the Firewolf and a third too.
Get that confidence.
Trying not to drop 5 in a row.
Yes, yeah, Nico, get that confidence.
Nico ace, or is it?
Hey, Self is on the lurk. They needed to win that round, so full respect to that. A flawless victory for Vibin Out. Hopefully, not only brings their spirits, but the confidence. And it's the thing that I was kind of harping on the most throughout the series is you need to send Nico out and contest space, get aggressive, and don't be afraid of that. Vibin Out plays exactly like that, and look at what they get. A nice round and hopefully some more potential.
Hope is
This is enough. Let's go
for
stand.
people who don't think they can win. So if you're vibing out, hope won't be enough. You want more than hope. You want some concrete, some rocks or something to play with. But when Kutch can just take out Sours and Nico, man, that puts you between a rock and the worst of all places, a spike plant. Because it's a 4v2 and there's a wrap from Wake, and now there's a way in for Vibin out, but there's still 3 players for Harmony available, and
look
one
at their
of them,
ults.
actually 2 of them have ultimates.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look, they have 2 really solid post-plant ults. Now, don't get me wrong, Vibin out has info if they can find a body of one of these players, but other than that, I mean, this info is not going to be as strong. There it is. Luminescence going to take advantage of it. A spray through the run, by the way. Run and gun, Valorant, precise gunplay, and look at how much pressure that they have, not only in utility, but also in players, to the point where Wake doesn't even want to take this fight.
You have no reason to. It's, you know, you're down rounds. You don't really have the money to take it. The numbers, by all means, suggest you should save, so that's exactly what you're going to see Wake do here on Vibin Out. Just back up, go to the site, keep your gun, and then try and get involved in the next round to make a sort of impact here. But especially considering the fact that a lot of ultimates are coming online, it's going to not only have to be from good use and good aim from Wake, but also really good positioning and really good opportunities given from a lot of just the team of Vibin Out in general.
At this point, though, 5-1, they're still in a pretty good spot, all things considered, from the previous game that they had. They did pick up a victory, and I feel like they do this again. They push out towards Mound, and it gives them some space and confidence, immediately rotate towards A and have a really strong retake. And they're not going to lose players here towards the Mound space, especially because they're setting a Cypher up towards A. So hopefully all of this is going to give them something. As long as Self can get out with 1 here, I feel like that's going to be it.
Oh,
Self gets the double?
He finds
gets out.
both! And he
And
goes
gets out.
back. There's another player. Immediately joins him, is Bert, and Self finds a third. On for the ace. The question is, will he find it? The first ace in Luxe Series history. Nope. Kutch just immediately has to try and steal the Thunder instead. We'll be able to use that from the shadows over to B to get that plant off, or I should say C. There's 3 letters in this site. In this map. But
And Kutch is getting aggro off the rip, which I honestly appreciate. And I feel like I feel like if they can find at least, if they can get into 1v2, that's when I'll start being like, yeah, Kutch can most likely clutch. But considering that they clutched and took away that ace, are they really going to be the heel of Vibin Out? Are they going to be the ones to steal it away from them? Or is this 4v1 going to come to fruition? We're going to have to see. Catching players off guard. Wake is going to grab you. And as close as it was, it really wasn't.
you caught a grand total of 0 players off guard. Wake was fully ready to clear.
Exactly.
He swung. He said, no, I know where he is. I swing. I swing, I say, I swing.
Well, Wake was peeking
So-
towards water, and then you had
Yeah.
the I believe Sours was following behind them, just looking towards
Yeah.
main.
So, by process of elimination, kind of a tough position for Kutch to be in. This is a timeout now being taken from Harmony, and I think it makes sense, right? You don't want to be in this position where, you know, you finally got like that 5th round, you're in this like really good spot, and then you just keep losing rounds to like really silly engagements and really silly spray downs.
Oh yeah. And Self just kind of popped off there. I think that was the big thing, was that I said if Self can get 1 and get out, it's huge. Got 2 and got out. And the moment you have that happen, it's kind of just like that push. You either need to reconsider that push or just play damage control.
Unfortunately, the damage is not really controlled, right?
Yeah.
You're you know, there's still, you did a lot of damage to Harmony, right? You took a 2nd round off of them, but they're still fully buying into this round. Luminescent should be able to drop a gun over to Firewolf to, you know, provide a full buy. So really no concessions being made. Maybe the 25 HP on Kutch will matter, but something tells me there's going to be a lot more, you know, pressing matters than 25 HP.
Yeah.
Go, go.
Famous
And
last
look at
words.
this setup here that they have. They're immediately getting aggro. Zeke just faked the tap.
Yeah.
To try and bait some players in
He sure
utility,
did.
but unfortunately, it's not going to work.
He's a lot smarter than that. He will eventually tap again just to try and bait a bit more utility, and will actually do just that. A rolling thunder gets baited out from the
What a
side of
read!
Harmony, but stimulated falls to Self on the other side of the map. So you trade out a rolling thunder for a kill throughout the macro. The question is, if you can take out Self and get this site cleanly, will you be able to win out the 4v4? The answer is, you don't even get a chance for that because it's already a 3v4.
Oh, and there's a counter rolling thunder up towards CT. Spike goes down and it's going to stall out Vibin out. Harmony is lacking players, and unfortunately, they don't have as much in terms of their ultimates. There's utility, though. I believe the Aftershock has been saved. It has not been used just yet. So Harmony could play this timer as much as they want. And Kutch is playing off an off angle. Unfortunately, we do have that fade utility and the smoke to push through. Kutch dealing with two players, seeing what they're going to do. They peek this together. Kutch manages to win one. It's a trade. There's the overdrive. Nico's going to find one. It's two on the site. A stun comes through as well as the Aftershock. It gets the double. Luminescent finds the sixth for Harmony.
A beautiful round from Luminescent in just the worst position. You're stuck alone in tree. They know exactly where you are and they're gonna swing you, but you just take them out one by one. Your teammates only trading out. You're in just an awful 1v3 and you still manage to find your way to the top. You've guaranteed at the very least a tied half, and you have room for another 4 more rounds. If you can end this half 8-4 with Harmony in the lead, that's a beautiful half from them.
Honestly, I mean, it's going to be insane if they don't here. They do get the 1-for-1 trade. And if Harmony, because Harmony has so much more room to work with, if they just need to get one round, then it's 7-5. They're already up 2. So you would hope if you're a Harmony fan. For Vibin out, it's not even hope. It's like you said, you need to have that sort of like charisma. Be like, you have that aura. We are winning this. Not a question mark, but an exclamation mark.
Exactly. But again, Self just being an absolute menace on this site, trying to be the difference for Vibin out. It won't work. Harmony's able to get that plant, and it's a 2v3, so there's still a way for both teams to win this, especially as this retake starts to come through towards A main. It leaves this one player alone towards heaven. Name of Nico. Flashed off an angle, stunned next up just to try and delay to buy time off the back of the paranoia. The Aftershock goes in as well. It's all about time, and time ever ticks down, but Nico and Firewolf can still trade out 1-for-1, but Nico eventually closes it out, and Vibin out are making sure that Harmony can't get a lead just yet.
It's going to be 3-6 on the board. Solid retake for Vibin out. And honestly, they're going to probably be seeing a couple more of those. Their pushes out were... I think they did pretty good, right? They had one really solid push out, but as you can see, just raw statistics, they've won 2 times with defuses on retakes. So I have a feeling that, you know, as much as it's like, yeah, take space, get some control, it is also like play for retake and make sure that you can fall back. Self has single-handedly won multiple rounds with impact frags by just finding 2. And even though they get traded, they've gotten out. They found 1, got out, put their utility, played smartly. Self got to that round, died. It's all good. It's a 2-for-1. And that's really how you should be playing here if you're Vibin out. You see what works and you continue doing that.
My one fear for Vibin out is that this round is an eco for Harmony. And if you remember what Harmony ecos look like, you should know it is not easy at all to deal with a Harmony eco. Instead, it's nightmarish, and I think Wake just got a little bit of a taste of that by just jump peeking A main.
Hit up a little bit. They do buy sheriffs into their ecos, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And we have some aimers for Harmony.
Here we do. This is
that utility?
Yeah, this is an interesting spot because you're surely going to be able to take this C site, but Self is here and ready, and that's an overdrive now used as well from the side of Harmony. They really want this site all to themselves. especially as Firewolf starts to hit that plant. But Nico, good on the hold. Make sure that ZK can't get too crazy. And now it's that 2v2 in terms of the ult counts.
No.
The Nightfalls go both ways. And now for these Sentinel ults, while important and while used on one side, Neural Theft finally going out. And that means that that lockdown's destroyed too, and Firewolf falls on the site, which means that that spike is completely open for Wake to hold. This is dangerous. Wake is still sticking, and it's a 2v2. He's still going to stick it, but eventually Luminescent is able to spam him down. And Harmony is guaranteed a lead at the half.
They should have... Wait, I'm just like, how did they spam him? They definitely wall spammed
Like
altogether.
case, yeah.
And you gotta know that that was like a millisecond off. That is not only really good for Harmony in terms of luck sometimes playing a role into this, but also just the pressure that they must have faced. They were just like spam it, spam it, spam it. And just to have the confidence to be like, all right, we have to play in this situation with multiple ultimates layered on top of each other and have that quick decision making. You said simulated out, they get taken. It's just so much, and the fact that Harmony won that is going to give them a lot of that like mental strength. And oh, we already have an overdrive. What's going on?
Okay. Yeah, Nico immediately tried to send it down mid. Kutch was there for that. So no more Nico in round number 11. Instead, it's just a slightly damaged Wake. They're not Wake. Flame Wolf.
Firewolf.
Flame Wolf. I like
Flame Wolf
too. Yeah.
It sounds like it could be like some sort of mythological creature.
Well, Firewolf did just send out a Prowler, which is like kind of like
True.
Wolf if you think about it. But
Oh wait, but look at where Sours is.
yeah.
Oh,
they
it's a
lined up!
double. They lined up, and
lined
Vibin out has the players now. Harmony seeing what they can work with. A shotgun in hand. Self's gonna find one more, and all together, this retake comes to fruition. It was a little bit of a broken vibe, but it's gonna land regardless. Firewolf seeing what sort of situation they can get themselves, but they cannot win out here, unfortunately.
Well, they got a 4v0.
Yeah.
That's the situation. So, but this is the last round, and I did say a 4-8 half would be wonderful for Harmony, and it's still technically in the cards, right? This would be a really, really tough round to win because you're working with a couple stingers, a sheriff. You don't really have a full buy. You don't have the bells and whistles. There's no real ultimates that you can play around with aside from the shadows from Kutch. So all in all, this is not the perfect round that you would like to have here in round number 12, but you still can make something of it, especially if you can use that Rolling Thunder to your advantage. And ZK can try and scale up the site alongside Simulated to take care of Self. That means that you're in a position now to plant that spike and have a player advantage, but you actually just want to rotate. You want to go towards B because, hey, you have a player named Kutch, and he has nearly full control of this site and catches Sours on a timing too.
This is probably 8-4, especially considering that they've taken down one of the biggest puzzle pieces for Vibin out. That initiator utility, especially flash initiator utility, would have been critical to their success. Stun comes through. ZK is going to grab one on top of that, and it seems like a lock. We do still have some pressure for Vibin out. If Nico could do some sort of damage, it's not going to land. A flawless victory with a fake C and then B rotate.
Switching sides.
It's beautiful, Harmony. Like, genuinely, the melodies are enchanting from this team. The way that they are constantly playing off of each other's util, like we talked about gelling together, we talked about experience, we talked about being cohesive. That's what I'm seeing from Harmony. They say, listen, I'm going to stay here, and that way I can use my utility in this way to help you take space this way. Guys, just wait. You don't have to go in. I have a really good timing. And then Kutch catches that timing and just completely destroys any chance that Vibin out would even have it a retake. So now we can see this is, now Harmony has to try and take the aggression here and has to try and earn an extremity here over on the defense. And you can see there's 4 players over towards this A side of the map.
Go, go, go.
Pistol round, the great equalizer, though.
Yep.
I'm out of here.
Immediate. Nico's just going to run through it.
Oh my
And that's
God.
going to be a price paid as Simulated picks them up. And I mean, now we get to see the KJ setups shine here, especially considering that they've spotted out Self, who's trying to do some more damage, but it's just not going to land. The flank is there. Plant's going to go down, but yeah, 5 players on the retake, and Vibin Out is looking like they need to find some sort of out.
The map has flipped. You have all of these defenders now retaking the site in through main with a late lurk if they need it. So it's really just about when you can find those kills, and it's Firewolf to find Wake, and Stimulated will eventually fall, but Firewolf continues to frag, and eventually Sours gets taken care of by Lumi, and now all of a sudden Harmony, they're back to their winning ways, although this time it's on the defense.
9-4 at this point, right? Double digits are imminent, all things considered. Yeah. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Vibin Out went for a Sheriff buy here, just because, like, 4-9, you buy Sheriffs. If you somehow win this, yeah, 5-9 is going to be really huge for you guys. But at the same time, if you don't, you're going to be down 6 rounds, and it's going to be looking difficult. And I like how Harmony just flipped that. You talked about this as well while you were talking about what they were doing. They flipped it and immediately played on the better side. They know that retaking is going to be easier for them, so why not flank and retake as a group, especially on the pistol?
Exactly, and you know, this is that eco that you have to see from Nico. This aggression with the Bucky. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't pay off as Kutch is able to just take care of that Neon and actually tries going swinging for more. And there's the drive-bys from Firewolf, able to switch around, try and get a second. But hold on! Self finds 2 with the classic, and now it's a 1v1. It's Stimulated versus Self. It's a Stinger versus a Bucky, and with no abilities. And that spike ticking down ever still. Stimulated eventually finds it in the 1v1. Harmony, it's catastrophe for Vibing Out as you are able to find double digits.
Honestly, though, we've seen this happen from Self. It's like a 2-1 situation with them. They're always getting those 2v1s. And this is the first time where it was like on the cusp of getting a 3 versus a 3-1. And unfortunately, the ratios just aren't there. If you look at this, Harmony knew exactly how to play this. Just retake. They've won 2 retakes in a row and played together very well in their coordination. On the flip side, Vibin Out won 2 retakes and 2 frags. So just playing like that seemed to work for them. So why not keep doing it? All things considered, this is Harmony's map choice for a reason. They have the momentum from the previous round. It's not over till it's over. But I'm always the caster between the two of us who's like, oh, you know, believe in the underdog. I'm going to say the opposite. I think it's a lock.
I mean, this round is absolutely possible for Vibin Out, right? It is the bonus round. So if you want any sort of momentum for Vibin Out, it has to come off the back of this round. And you can see this A site, Harmony's completely given it up. So the retake here, you know, it's not going to be easy, especially when Vert's able to find ZK, because not only is your weapons not really the greatest, you also don't have a lot of explosive utility anymore. You really have to try and provide yourself or your team with some kills, and Stimulated actually will be able to find that onto Self, and Nico just jiggling around will eventually shut that down, and now it's a 2v4.
This is the first bonus that wasn't won.
Yeah, Sours and Nico able to just take things together. It makes it so Harmony can't win a bonus.
This is the first eco that wasn't won.
Yeah, the first time that a team didn't win the bonus after winning the pistol.
Bonus, my apologies.
Yeah.
This is the first bonus that has been picked up. And I was like, surely we've done 4 in a row of these. It's gonna be the same. And the prediction was just a little off. Vibin Out, get halfway mark. But again, it's the halfway mark. It's 5 out of 10. Your deficit's still extreme. And you're going into a rifle round, which is going to apply a lot of pressure. And look at this fight that's about to be lined up for Mound. We have 4 players on both teams getting and gearing up for it. A flash comes through, so much initiator utility. We try to see ZK, but unfortunately, it's not going to land. Overdrive active as Nico needs to get out of there. Sorry, not active. It's the Nightfall that's active.
Yeah. Nightfall gets popped on the side of Harmony, and it forces Vibin Out to just leave. They're saying, you know what? We're not going to worry about A anymore. We got that rubble control. That's really all we need. The next person on the hit list is Stimulated, and Self will take care of that, meaning that it's now a 3v5, and Nico's about to get caught out because Luminescent is aware of that lurk, but still, you don't have the players to really retake this site just yet. You have to try and hope for maybe a crazy kill through a smoke or maybe through a wall from Firewolf on that Guardian. Otherwise, you're going to be kind of in dire times, dire straits.
And look at this Firewolf pushing in. They're trying to retake all this together. They have information. Vibin out knows where these players are, and Self is immediately going to get that first. Potentially even a second that they've been known for. Unfortunately, though, Harmony playing it smart. They want to keep these weapons into the next round, and at this point, they have such a dominating lead. They just are going to let it go.
Okay, saying that they're going to let it go implies that we're going to see 10-10. I don't know if we're going to see 10-10. I feel like Harmony, you know, you let this round go. You got that 4-round lead. You're saving rifles into the next round. You're doing the correct plays. You're doing the percentage plays.
Obviously, it implies the 10-10. I'm like, no, that I even called it. I feel like Harmony just wins this game. It might not be as easy, but I definitely don't think they're going to let them get the 10.
Sure. But, you know, you do still have a 4-round lead to play with, and you have Vandals in the hands of two of your most capable players, Kutch and ZK, with armor on Lumi to kind of just add along and, you know, provide a little bit more life to that breach and all those abilities. So if ZK can find some really solid fights or just in general space, it kind of puts a damper on this Vibin out attack, especially if Stimulated doesn't really overstep any boundaries this time on C and is actually just playing to hold any sort of potential push.
Oh, Stimulated hears some noise. No, they're going to push out. And they're not. Okay. Good restraint considering there was Omen in the corner and Stimulated gets out of dodge.
Yeah. Says, you know what? It's not worth it. Let me not give my life away. Let's just keep my utility up, keep watch over C, keep watch over B, and then instead let, you know, Vibin out try and make the first move, try and play a little bit riskier, especially now if they want to go B, because they're going to have to travel through an Omen smoke.
It's been slow for both teams. I think Vibin out doesn't want to give Harmony any, you know, inches, because the moment they give them an inch, they'll take a mile. But look at this. The inch has already been taken. ZK has a decent amount of space. They give it up so quickly, though, because all the initiators have rotated. You do see one towards Breakable for Luminescent, but still, it's not going to be in a good position. The flash comes through. The stun is there. No, it's not going to land. Self's going to find the first, and Luminescent sees what they can do with the wrap, potentially catching Vert off guard, but the shots don't hit.
Oh, Kutch stuck in towards drop, is only able to find one before he gets traded out, and now it's a 3v2 for Harmony. There's a Sheriff in the hands of Firewolf as he starts peeking through a smoke. Stimulated picks up that Vandal and takes care of Nico, which means now numbers are equalized, and Firewolf has a Vandal now too, meaning Vibin out underneath their noses. It's all up to Vert, and he can't do it. 3 on the round for Firewolf means that is a thrifty round for Harmony.
I mean, hey, they definitely aren't letting it go. And just the way Simulated and Firewolf played that out all together, picking up weapons and winning out in here at the end, just it leaves me speechless. This is going to be not only 11-6, but also just the first time that truly, right, Vibin out was starting to feel really, really good, really solid. And then immediately is like, you know, it's like you get uppercutted. You got to bounce back. This, I feel like, will be the round that kind of dictates if Vibin out can continue this, or if Harmony's just gonna, you know, call it a day.
It definitely feels like that, especially considering, you know, what the economy looks like on both sides. You can kind of see this C site now being the target of Vibin out's objectives, but Stimulated just opting to, you know, use that KJ utility to delay a little bit, kind of prevent this push from going in, buy some time for some rotations to come through. It means that you're in this position where Nico's gonna push all the way towards water and
Solo
actually trade out 1 for 1.
They do 1 for 1, but they kind of went with unfortunately not as much utility. Harmony has 2 very solid ultimates for the retake. Boom, 1 goes down. Hey, that's Self again with a double, seeing if they can beat the allegations and try and find a triple. Harmony lost some players, but look at where Kutch's position. Gets the double up, has Paranoia in hand. Wake is now alone, switching to your sidearm, seeing what they can do. It's gonna be a right-click battle, and Wake wins it out to get a convenient scoreline. 7-11 on the board. I know, right? 2 back-to-back speechless rounds.
Just let me see. If Kutch holds for a little bit longer, that round looks entirely different. But here we are.
got 45
It's a
seconds.
right click battle right there. Just
Oh,
my
man.
goodness. And it's an express round delivered right to Vibin Out's doorstep, 7-11. And now that economically, again, they're in a pretty good spot. You can see Nico actually taking a little bit of liberty here to buy a Bucky. And is okay.
Unlucky.
Well, it happens. It happens, Nico. Just wipe off the sweat and just keep going. Just keep pushing forward. Keep pushing into that defender-controlled territory alongside your overdrive. Take care of Stimulated and Luminescent too, and let Self mop up in the back line for a flawless 8th round.
And I'm just saying, that was the round they needed to win. They showed, even through thick and thin, through the right-click RNG, right? They won it out, and they're not going to let it go. And even though it's, we see the storyline, it's 2-1-2, right? Potentially Harmony wins this. Hopefully, they don't trade this round. We see the momentum continue. Vibin Out wins this. It's going to be a lot closer of a game. 9-11. They get double digits. I'm going to start believing in Vibin Out winning.
I mean, sure, especially in this round, because look at the amount of ults that Harmony have, right? Overdrive, Lockdown, Rolling Thunder. These are ultimates that are round-defining on their own, let alone in conjunction. And there are 3 players for Harmony over towards C, and ZK gets taken out by Self. Now these 2 players are on an island. They have to fight their way to live, and Sours is planting on B, meaning that Stimulated all kind of alone on an island. Kutch gets taken out, or can trade out Self. In this B site, there was no plant. It was all just a threat to try and bait out that lockdown. And Kutch gets taken out by Vert through the door, meaning that now it's a 2v3. Harmony, it's now all up to Stimulated, but he's sticking. No one gets him off the spike. He clutches like that.
No way! No, that single-handedly shifted the tide, because if Vibin Out would have won that, so many ultimates would have been wasted. So much pressure would have been relieved. They would have gotten the 9th, the 10th, and potentially even the comeback. But unfortunately, pros do not fake. And in the first match on stream, we see Harmony, a match point, game point, to be the first victors here in Luxe Series. Vibin Out, what do you have in response?
They have to dig deep, right? You have to get 4 in a row, take this to overtime, even want a chance to just get to map 3.
And listen, Harmony is on a slight eco here, so it is possible. There is a lot of room to work with.
The timing, they're not aware of this, and ZK with that overdrive can start and, really look to do some damage, but Self and Nico, there immediately to shut things down means it's all up to Kutch in a 1v4. He finds that first onto Shelf. Or to Self, to shelf the Cypher. And now it's a 1v3. He has that Phantom. Technically has some utility to play off of, but Vibin Out, they're just looking to keep things clean and just over towards the back of the defender's side of C, over towards CT. So much for Kutch to do here.
I think it's possible, all things considered. But the probabilities are so low. TP's onto site. The timing is really thin. A 45 seconds turning into 20. A stun comes through Kutch, denying its reach. And now you need to see what they can work with. Breach on the angle. Same thing with Nico. Trying to just do damage, I think, at this point, right? That's what Kutch's goal is. But unfortunately, it's not going to land. That bomb's going to go down. No player sticking through.
No save from Kutch. Just a death. Vibin Out, able to find a 9th round here. So only 3 more to go before we get to the dreaded 2-letter phrase. And that's a timeout from Harmony. And I find this timeout to be interesting. What do you think?
I think it's a fine timeout, considering that if they're going into a round, they just lost one. They're going into a round. It's one of those things where it's like, remember how previously it can kind of go both ways, where you can kind of play devil's advocate for both ways? I don't think there's one clear, like, oh, Harmony should have timed or shouldn't have. Because Vibin Out is on a really crucial round here. They can get double digits, and then the next one would be an eco for Harmony if they do get it to 10-12. So it's a very each round is crucial for Vibin Out, let's be real. But this one in particular, because it is a buy round for Harmony, it's even more critical for Vibin Out. So I would say it's not a bad call for a timeout, especially considering that Harmony does not have too many ultimates like immediately ready. They
Yeah.
have the Firewolf. They have Nightfall.
The
Well, words.
Nightfall, yeah.
They have Nightfall, but ZK, Luminescent, and Stimulated do not have that. And Nightfall, if they have to rely on just the Nightfall for a retake, they do need to coordinate. Okay, when are we popping it? How are we playing off of this? And Vibin Out does have a Nightfall to counter us, as well as a Neural Theft to gain a lot of information on our players.
And that neural theft is really, really crucial on a map like Lotus because it kind of gives you an idea of where these defenders are, right? You can kind of rotate around that fact and really beat the defenders to the punch if you so desire it. But speaking of beating to the punch, it's ZK and Lumi to start beating Vibin Out to a pulp on the A side of the map. Which means that for these 3 Vibin Out players to try and win this 3v4 off the back of this Nightfall on C, it's really about finding Stimulated, but he's still here. He's going to pop that Swarm Grenade, and he's just going to look to get out. Just play for his life. Keep that player advantage in his team's hands as Kutch goes and uses that from the shadows to rotate real quick into CT.
Now, as they're preparing for this re-hit on the site, the plant's going to go down. That's going to give Vibin Out their ultimate. I didn't even catch that. It's going to be huge for them. Rolling Thunder goes through, but I don't think it even hits anyone. They have players towards CT. And I don't know if it hits them, but Sours is going to pick up Luminescent. Vert is going to hide up in the corner here. We see the utility falling onto it. Vibin Out gets the trades, but look at Kutch and Firewolf. They're pushing in together. Last player standing. TP's out a little aggressive. It's just going to be a fake wake. Unaware of these positions. They are playing together, but the timer is ticking down. They peek it. They find it. It's not going to land. Wake plays Ring Around the Rosie. Pockets full of Posey, and the time is there, I believe, for Harmony.
Yep.
GG's
They got
in the
it.
chat.
GG sent in the chat as Harmony takes map 2 13-9. It was a closer affair than Haven, but all roads lead to Firewolf and the rest of Harmony taking our first series in the Luxe Series. Oh
I mean,
my goodness.
It's just insane, right?
Yeah.
Self honestly being at the top of that is
Yep.
not is just entirely makes sense. Even though unfortunately they got defeated, it's just the way that we've seen these matchups between these teams. You cannot even say that Vibin Out is like at all a bad roster. They clearly know how to hold their own. It's just that sort of like the thing I talked about the entire game, the X factor, that sort of mental thing of like being able to regroup themselves, potentially some calms to like be a little bit calmer and have that trust in your teammates and the calls. It comes down to also that little aspect of just, I think Harmony has been a roster for a little longer. And even if they haven't been under Harmony as a name, I think that the core has been around for a little longer. And that's the big kind of difference maker between these two teams.
Yeah, it's also about the fact, right? You talked about Self being at the top of the scoreboard overall, right? Being such a strong presence for Vibin Out, but you kind of look at the kill distribution overall and you see that, the difference between Self and Nico versus the rest of Vibin Out, as opposed to Kutch and then ZK and Firewolf being right next to each other, and then Luminescent and Stimulated being right next to each other, and all kind of being a bit closer as a pack. That I think also just ties in, right? As you were saying, the fact that it's not just a couple standout players and then people rushing to support them. It's a team that knows how to play off of each other in different situations and has that experience. I think First Bloods also tells that story, right? Where you see multiple players, actually the vast majority of the team on the side of Harmony actually finding those First Bloods, right? It's Kutch, it's ZK, and it's Stimulated all together. Whereas again, for Vibin Out, just like we saw, it was really just the Self and Nico show.
And like you said, right, they got the First Bloods and Luminescence there, like, oh, it won't have First Bloods, but 11 assists.
Yeah.
11, like, that is the participation we need, right? Each player is playing their role. And Simulated, they got those First Bloods as they were running out of that site. They were not like getting those First Bloods because they're peaking or getting super aggro. Simulated was playing their game really well. And that's the thing you and I were discussing, is just, playing your role, playing in that rank, and playing as a cohesive unit. All in all, though, huge hats off to Harmony, as they have sung us a beautiful symphony here today and won out as the first victors here of group stage, day 1, stream 1, and team 1 to win out.
Yeah, right. Harmony able to beat Vibin Out here in the Luxe Series. They can put that in the history books in the group stage. They've got it locked in and loaded, and I think that means it's time for Nerds and I to lock things down here on the stream. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. It's been a phenomenal series. Thank you for joining us in this crazy best of 3 and this crazy opening day of the Luxe series. Once again, my name is Ancient Angel. With me was the illustrious Nerds Corner. Shout outs to our observer Glitch and our producer Zane, just for helping us out behind the screens that you can't see. And thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned. There's more Luxe action coming your way.
Running around like dollars in the wind, bending over backwards just to let you in. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar, 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 liar. Yeah, I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down to now and now and now and now and never. I was putting in the I'm sick of fighting the things that you said. I don't wanna burn all our bridges ahead. I'm tired of going to bed when you left me on red just to turn up the noise in my head. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. You were calling me a liar, 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 liar. Yeah, I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down to now and now and now and now and never. I was putting in the putting in. Hey, what the hell? Why you hanging on the rooftop by yourself? I have an open invitation, but you're telling me go get lost. I don't wanna see